So, Lube, somebody didn't leave. We had a guy on our server pass away from cancer over the weekend, who was a member of my alliance for about 3 years. So we actually were in a starter alliance together, and then moved on to our current alliance. He's been fighting cancer for almost a year now. His doctor gave him about 3 months to live about a year ago, and he made it like 10-ish months before he passed away over the weekend. So, we were trying to form a heart. We're a little off to the side here with it. And obviously these guys all sent ships this morning and kind of all just went AFK. So we can't really get them into position. But thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So let's move on to part number 2. And let's talk about our Janeway versus the Doctor. And the easiest way to do that is to pull them up side by side. But for that, we have to go to the other STFC database so we can actually see the events, because I don't think these are in. All right, so if we go to our Recruit Janeway Heroic, and then if we reset our filters and pull up our Doctor from last month, I did get some stuff for the merger stuff. We're going to talk about that next. We're going to go through all the merger stuff at once. Oops, I screwed that up. Hang on. Hang on. Last month is what I wanted to hit. Now we got to find the Doctor. Alright, so here's the Doctor Recruit Heroic SMS. This is the one from the end of the month. Why do these not want to do that anymore? Alright, so let's just do it this way. Alright, so we can kind of see what we got going on here. Alright, so if we look at our 2 events, and depending on what milestone, what level you are, your point totals were different, but the payouts were all the same. This, at level 20 versus at level 60, you got the same number of shards. It was just the point totals had different milestones. And the same thing over here with Janeway. Different point totals. Obviously, there's no graphic for her. Different point totals, same number of shards awarded. Some are going to be easier to get to, some are going to be harder to get to, obviously based on what your ops level is and what materials you have available to spend. But if you look strictly at it from a mathematical perspective, the Doctor milestone here, if you finish the Doctor event, you got 40, 55, 65, 68, 77, 80, 85, 86 total shards for the Doctor, if my math is correct. Right? 4, 9, and 9 is 18. 28, 31, 41, 46, 56, 64, 84, 86. So 86 total shards for the Doctor. Versus 20 shards for Janeway twice, so only 40 shards for her total. So while it was easier to complete the Janeway one because the milestones were lower, you got half the shards for doing it. And in order to do it, if let's just use this for an example, Op 60. 11 million versus 32 million. Well, if you spend 11 million twice, you spend 22 million, you get 40 shards. If you spent another 11 million, you'd get another 20 shards here, which would be 60 shards. But over here, you would have gotten 86 shards of the Doctor. So you came out way ahead in terms of shards per material spent in the Doctor auction if you went that far. It's hard to reach some of these milestones because obviously the point total's significantly higher no matter what level you're looking at here. If you're looking at, 46, you're at 20 million. If you're at 39, right? 39 is actually not terrible, right? 2.5 million. I mean, it's still a lot of points because you can only really spend G3. Maybe you have a jellyfish you can put a little bit of G4 materials into if you scrap some stuff or have some research. Whereas over here, you look at, 46, point totals are a little better, going down to 39. Point totals are significantly lower. So this is more achievable for a lot of players, but this one had a much higher payout. And if you look at the overall just cost per acquisition, if we say the Doctor here, you spent 2.5 million, but you got 86 shards. Well, each Doctor shard cost you 28,000 apiece, 28,600. Whereas over here with Janeway, they were 37,900 apiece. So they're 26, that's what, a third, basically 50% higher. 26 versus 38. You paid a lot more for each Janeway shard this time around. Even though they gave you it twice, the Doctor one, you came out much further ahead. If you had enough materials to spend to get to the higher tiers, you came out way ahead in terms of value compared to what you got out of the Janeway auction. So EMH doesn't comparability wise. Hey, Louis P. It's even worse for Ops 41. Yeah, I mean, depending on where you are with the different milestones and stuff, you can look at, the point totals were significantly higher along the way. You go all the way up to Ops 60 and compare what you're looking at here. And while the point values increase, 31 million, but you got 86 Doctor shards. They're 370,000 a piece that you're spending per shard. A lot more expensive, right? Relatively speaking, I guess. Versus only 20 shards there. You paid almost 550. So again, the ratios were the same. You paid 1.5 times as much for your Janeway shards as you did for your Doctor shards. Is Janeway 1.5 times better than the Doctor? I don't know. He's got a pretty good lower deck ability, right? So, in my opinion, the Doctor auction was better for the players. The Janeway auction, or the Janeway format, was better for Scopely. Maybe we find a way to marry the difference between the two of them. Shave these point totals down a little bit. Shave the number of shards down a little bit. Like instead of paying 86 shards out, maybe you pay out like 65 or 70 shards, but you take 15% off the point totals as well. Give out a little less, but make it easier, a little easier for more people to attain. but still make it at least competitive enough that people may still be encouraged to spend a little bit? I don't know. Me personally, I like the Doctor event. So, Lube says he'd value Janeway at 1.5 times, to be honest. Well, I have not tested her out yet, so I cannot confirm or deny if she is that much more beneficial to have. And she might be. Maybe that's why they did it the different way, gave out fewer shards of her, because they felt like they could monetize her better because she's a more desirable officer. Whether she's more desirable just in name or in actual gameplay mechanics. So